what our audience looks like over there. This is going to be our match between Declan and Tristan for one of the last first round games. We got Declan over here in this corner as the Red Terran, aka Jim Jamhammer. And over in this corner, as the Zerg, we've got Tristan, aka Steve Slamcock, going in for the big win here. We're going to see what these players do. Declan's already got refineries going up, which is really good. It usually takes these players a little bit of time to kind of figure out how their refineries are working. And he's training some SCVs. I am, at this point already, slightly worried that Declan might have more experience than I warranted. We've had a couple of pretty rough matchups so far between the things that we've done. So we'll see. We'll see where it lands. Declan is training SCVs like a monster, but he has not built any real buildings that he needs to be building yet. He's got enough minerals to be doing so we'd like to see some of that happening. He's getting supply locked now. We've seen multiple times these players forget that they need, or don't know that they need, supply to keep building units. So he's getting supply locked now. And this might have been as much as he remembers. He might have remembered to build workers and to get refineries up, and that's kind of it. Let's take a look at what Tristan's doing. He's figured out how to build units and has built 4 overlords, giving him massive supply lead, but he hasn't built any workers yet. This is not particularly great because you need workers to do stuff. So, especially when you're Zerg. Declan's got this supply depot and an engineering bay going up now. He's going to get some upgrades from this, and this will give him some more supply caps so he can build some more workers. Tristan is moving around his big flying boys, these couple of overlords, and he's making even more. They're big, they're crazy looking, you might as well have a lot of them. Declan has some more workers walking over here, not really doing too much. Doesn't have his full mineral lines saturated yet, so we'd like to see some of these workers maybe going over here to gather some more minerals for him to keep him healthy, or building some more buildings so we can get some units out and functioning. We're seeing some of these drones coming out from Tristan now. These are his basic workers here. So he'll get some of these together, speed up his mineral production. He's at 14 out of 16. That's pretty good. We can take a look at our income graph right now. You'll see that Tristan is up a bit just because his mineral line has more guys in it. Declan has only 10. Well, we've got 16 over here. So Tristan really funneling out these minerals, but he doesn't have any gas income yet. That could end up biting him in a little bit. The first barracks is down for Declan, so he's going to be able to get some military units out here shortly. And he's got another supply depot coming up. We've seen a lot of these Terran players only build one of these because it unlocks the barracks, not realizing that they need it for population cap. So the second one going down is a pretty good sign. Sensor tower coming out, maybe a little bit early. This doesn't necessarily need to be around because you kind of like know you're getting attacked pretty early if you have some wherewithal in the game. Not having a lot of that, not having vision out from units walking around. This is not horrible. Tristan has built an alarming number of overlords. This is a lot. This is a lot of overlords. We'd like to see him building some buildings, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. He needs to use his workers to build some buildings so that way he doesn't fall behind too bad. This barracks is building a reactor. It lets you build multiple units at once out of it. So he'll be able to build some of these guys pretty quickly if he starts jamming that, as long as he remembers to do so. We see an oversaturated mineral line coming out of Tristan here. So he's got too many workers on this mineral line. There are too many people. They are not harvesting efficiently. We've got a couple of them that are sitting around and waiting. However, he does have an insane mineral gain lead. His income is much higher, and he's got much more in the bank. He needs to start building buildings in order to cash all that in. These overlords don't really do much besides give him supply cap. So he's in a situation where he could get attacked and hurt pretty badly. We see the first military unit. 2 military units coming out of Declan. Some Reapers, pretty solid. Tristan's still not building any buildings. He's building more workers, but he has not built any buildings yet. We really would like to see some of these buildings coming up. He's moving his guys around now. He's got some workers moving off. Still full saturated mineral lines, so that's all right. That's all good. He's trying to get extra minerals, so he has even more money. This guy's crazy. He hasn't built any buildings, but he wants even more money. Declan, on the other hand, has built some aggressive units and is moving them. Uh-oh. This could spell danger for the undefended Zerg player. We see another barracks coming up. These Reapers are kind of just sitting here, not doing much. That's okay. It's not a big deal. Giving Tristan a little bit more time to stabilize, figure out what's going on with him. He's now trying to figure out how the gas geysers work. This is something we see new players struggle with for a minute. You need to build a building on top of these to actually start harvesting gas from them. It might take him a second to realize that, but we'll see. Let's take a look at his perspective real quick to see what he's kind of looking at, trying to figure out. Interesting. So he's decided that he does not know how that works. And we don't know what else is going on there. Let's take a look over here. We've got more military units coming out of Declan. He could get aggressive here and end this game, potentially. We'll see. We got a planetary fortress up. This doesn't actually do much besides... It's like a big turret system. The command center has a bunch of utility objects on it that you can use that we haven't seen come out of him yet. He's got tons of tech levels going on too now. This is very, very bad for Tristan, who has again not built any buildings. That is a pretty vital part of this game. He does have an army of overlords, unlike anything the world has ever seen before, though. That's not true, but you know, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. Declan has a Marauder out, so he put a tech lab on here. That lets him build ghosts already, which is kind of goofy. Kind of a goofy little thing. They're like stealth sniper units. They can shoot nukes. So if Declan starts building nukes, he can fire some nukes off. Those are pretty cool. Those are a lot of fun. We see more supply depots coming out because he is supply locked. Unlike Tristan, who has very smartly built enough overlords that he will never get supply locked. This guy's a genius over here. However, still no buildings. He figured out how to build his units as Zerg much faster than any of the other players have so far. But the buildings are a very, very important part of the game. He really needs those together to actually kind of get himself rolling here. And hopefully he figures that out before Declan comes and gets him. Because if he does not, game 2 is going to be pretty one-sided. Kind of unfortunately. I just had a spectator ask if Zerg build their units weird. And Zerg do build their units weird. If we haven't explained this before, Zerg create larvae over time from their hatcheries. The larvae sit here like this. They're these little larva thing here. and then you have to select the larva in order to pick out which unit you'd like them to mutate into. Building more hatcheries gives you access to more production per minute, unlike with when you're playing a unit like the Terrans. It requires you to build multiple buildings of your actual production thing to create more of units, like just to create volume of units. Whereas Zerg needs specifically their central hatcheries. So they'll typically expand very, very quickly into their natural, into their third base, and into some of their richer bases like this mineral line here. That allows them to create units much faster and is how players do Zerg rushes most of the time. We see Declan developing out these refineries. This is fairly unnecessary. He probably would want to build out a new command center first in order to find himself in a situation where he is gathering enough resources. We still see that this income discrepancy is very high, which is good for Tristan as long as he can figure out a way to actually start using these minerals. He's got to be very close to it. I would have to expect. Because he hasn't kind of explored what his workers can do, and I did explain that his workers would build buildings. So we'll see where this goes. Declan has too many military units to just be sitting here at this point. This is a force of units that you should be attacking and harassing with at this point, which we're not seeing Declan do. That's fair. You know, it's kind of his first game back into this. He told me that he played StarCraft an exceptionally long time ago and did not even play it that much and didn't know what he was doing when he did. So we're kind of seeing that. You know, we would expect a very experienced player. We watched or we played one of our friendly matches, and the game was basically over at 12 minutes. So we're definitely seeing gaps in knowledge here, so not particularly horrible. I think that Tristan would probably be in a fine spot right now. Once he kind of figures this part of the game out. It'll be a second though. There we go. He's got his first extractor going up. Fantastic. Now he's figured out how the extractors get functioning. That's typically the first building that players will figure out, and then they'll start getting their other stuff together. So we should start seeing, hopefully, a breeding pool, some hatcheries coming out of him, now that he has figured out how to do that part. He's got this army of overlords over here. That's very, very funny to me. He built so many more overlords than any of these other players have built so far. Declan's still amassing units over here. He's built a factory, I presume, because when you look at nuke, it says requirements factory, and now he can build nukes. So we'll see if this was the end goal if he starts producing these in a couple seconds here. Nope, he's got a Stargate going up. This is a starport. The Stargate's the Protoss building. But this will let him build some ships, specifically Vikings, Medevacs, and Liberators. Those are a bunch of different utility and combat ships that are very strong in the later game. He doesn't really need them at this point, but we'll see. We'll see what comes out of Tristan here. He's got his evolution chamber up, and he's researching some tech. He's got another Vespene geyser going up. He really needs to get a spawning pool together so he can get some military units out. Hopefully in time to combat this. We'll see though. This is fairly strong against a bunch of Zerglings. He would need to build some roaches in order to kind of combat this, and maybe even some more advanced units. With the starport coming up, roaches might not even be enough. Let's take a look at these, some of our APM for a second here. We've got Declan at an average of 13 APM and Tristan at an average of 18 APM. technically that means that Tristan is just objectively the better player. So we'll see where this ends. APM is the most important skill. We've got hatchery going up on the rich mineral line here. This is a good move by the Zerg. He's got a second hatchery going up. He's figured out how to build his buildings. He definitely needs to make a breeding pool here any minute now. The sooner the better, because this force will come and obliterate him at some point. We're just waiting for Declan to get confident enough that he can do some combat. We haven't seen any nukes getting produced yet. Very sad. Would love to see some nukes go off. We haven't had any players launch a nuke yet. I know we've got Chad and Jim in the same room over there right now. It's good that you guys are both watching this at the same time, because there's so much information that I'm dumping here. It's going to make your game so different. So different. But you guys could probably use a refresher, I'm sure, if you're in the friendly tournament. So it'll be fine. Be fine and fun. See these hatcheries coming up. Still no breeding pool. There we go. There's a spawning pool. Fantastic. Now he can get some Zerglings up to defend himself a little bit. Enough Zerglings can fight this. Like 100 of them, probably good enough. Might be close though. But 100 Zerglings could do some serious work here. And he's got the room for him. He's made enough overlords. So Declan's trepidation, his fear might be the end of him here. We could see the hesitation end up being the reason that he has allowed Tristan to catch up and get back ahead, because Tristan has far more development right now. We still see that his income is significantly higher now, both in Vespine and in the minerals. So if he can start expending these resources very quickly, which is something that having multiple hatcheries will do for you, he could be in a very good spot. He's got some of these Zerglings transforming right now. He's got the queen coming out of here. He's got 4 queens being made. So this is very good. This is gonna be enough, hopefully, to protect against this. These vehicles get very rough very quickly though. Cyclones are super duper strong at harassing, especially these slow ground armies. Got a spore crawler going up. That's good. That'll help a lot. Declan's got his units moving around right now. Take a peek at that. He's getting to start going. Normally, we've seen these players kind of amass big battle balls because they're worried they might not have enough units to do fights. But once they get a big enough ball of guys together that they feel confident in their forces, they start moving them around. We've had to prompt some players at 30-40 minutes to attack each other, but that's pretty uncommon so far. He's looking around to try to figure out where Tristan is at right now, because these players do not know that they spawn in mirrored corners of the map. On most maps, you can kind of see that in a certain spot that I won't disclose, because I think it will make games more interesting later. Declan is moving around these forces right now. We see Tristan not with not enough forces right now to actually fight this off. So he really needs to go all in on building units right now. He needs to have all 3 of his hatcheries making queens. He needs to have all of his larvae that he's got available to him making Zerglings before Declan figures out where he's at and attacks. We saw Declan moving this around, and now he's kind of stopped. So let's take a look at what he's checking out right now. He's looking around. He's still got his whole army selected, so he's still looking to move around and get something done here. He's definitely not sure where Tristan is at, which is very good. We're giving Tristan a lot of time to stabilize here. He's making more drones. This is the incorrect move. He needs to be making a lot more Zerglings to defend himself. He has been in the game for a very, very long time, so we would expect him to feel the need to make military units at this point in time. 4 queens is absolutely not enough to win this fight. Declan has found Tristan, potentially too late for Tristan to stabilize. 4 queens is a lot of queens, still not enough to defeat this force. And they're significantly slower off a creep. Creep is very important to be on while you're Zerg. This is unfortunate. Tristan didn't quite get there fast enough, but it looks like Declan's maybe a little bit lost. Maybe doesn't know where to push to actually do something here. We see an army of overlords dumping creep on the ground. Very funny. Now he's losing his overlord, so it's going to get him supply locked some point here in the future. He has not mustered enough military forces. We'll hope that the experience he's gotten in this game is enough to make up for the time that he lost at the beginning of this game, figuring out how to get buildings together. There's a chance that with enough Zergling production that he can defend himself here. Let's take a look at our production fields real quick. So we've got 2 sets of queens coming up. We've got 6 sets of Zerglings coming up. If he can amass these forces, there might be a way for him to kind of mount a defense here. Especially because, I lied. Declan has a ton of backup here sitting around waiting to come. So this is probably a pretty unrecoverable situation for Tristan. But we'll give him another couple seconds to kind of feel out the game. We like to give him as much time as possible to figure out how his stuff works, even while he's in a situation where he's kind of dying in slow motion. Overlords are coming up. He's figuring out how his overlords work. He's figuring out how his spine crawlers work. This is good. We'll give him as much time as he needs to lose here, because every bit of time that he gets to learn here will make the next game significantly closer. Oh, these Zerglings doing work. Hold on. Declan was over-focused on the hive. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's actually crazy. The lair is bleeding to death here. It's actually starting to recover. So it's going to be fine. This lair is going to survive. Declan kind of fumbled the bag a little bit there, but he's got his extra reinforcements coming in. We could see him potentially still winning this game, but Tristan is kind of fended it off pretty nicely. He had a pretty fine situation going on. His income is still higher. He's still got equal Vespine. So Declan has kind of bought himself a little bit of time to catch up on that early development loss that he had. But I'm impressed with Tristan's defense there. That was very good. Declan needs to get way more aggressive with these units if he's going to kind of finish the job. He's got to finish the job. But he has not committed to that yet. So, yep, there you go. Liberators are kind of tough to use. You need to put them into defender mode to actually utilize them. Vikings as well. So these queens are actually going to do something here. Yeah, unfortunate. Wow. Check that out. That was probably exceptionally frustrating for Declan there. That's a pretty unfortunate situation. A lot of Terran starships have pretty specific things you need to do with them. Vikings transform to go on the ground to attack. Liberators need time to set up. Banshees are the air to ground that they've got access to, and battle cruisers as well. But these are really hard to build. Those are super expensive. We do see the income has leveled out though, so this game is going to go on for a little bit longer, which is great. This is fantastic. We're psyched to see Tristan kind of recover from this, and now he is stimulated to build units in a way that he wasn't before. He's got his hatchery going back up over here, so he can get some geyser gas, and we'll hopefully see him try to mount like some kind of counterattack here. He's way up in units right now. He's definitely got enough units to counterattack and win the game if he can muster the courage. We just need to see him figure that part out. We saw Declan ball up enough forces to get aggressive, and Tristan mount really truly such an impressive defense. That was awesome. He had just enough Zerglings come up at the right time. We see the Spire going up over here. That is going to let him build Mutalisks and Corruptors also. Corruptors are air-to-air defense guys that are going to do a pretty good job dealing with anything coming out of the starport. Although Declan may be hesitant to build something again out of the starport after the experience that he just had. He's got siege tanks coming out now out of the factory. These are really strong against Zerglings. Tristan certainly can't attack at this point. This is probably pretty unfortunate for Tristan. He kind of lost his window to counterattack effectively. Declan is in a fine spot here. He looks like he has stabilized from his initial roughness. Thors coming out of this factory are crazy. These units are very strong and could certainly overtake whatever kind of defenses Tristan has built up at this point. We'll see though. We'll see. This game's gonna be a close one. This game's gonna be really close, which is exciting. I'm happy to see how close it's gonna be. We've got some infestors coming out here. Nice. Infestors are pretty hard to use. They are caster units, so they utilize their abilities a lot. We've seen a lot of these newer players. That last fight was a great example of just these players not knowing how to use unit abilities, which is fair. You know, it's a pretty complicated part of the game. It's hard to kind of take the time to sit and read everything that all of your units have on them. We're seeing a little bit of movement out of Declan on his forces here. We're really hoping that he doesn't decide that this is enough to counterattack after that loss that he just had, because if he does, he will probably end up losing this to this force that's right here. We will see, though. Tristan's spreading a little bit of creep here. Creep makes your Zerg go faster, so it's good to spread this around. Over time, they end up taking over the map with creep if they're not defended against. We see a harassment force coming out of Tristan here. There's a couple of Mutalisks. We could see him getting very aggressive with these if he feels comfortable with the defenses that he's got behind. Let's take a look at what he's checking out right now. He's got his eyeballs on his Zerglings, but he's got his Mutalisks selected. We'll see what he decides to do here. He's got this Overlord transforming. It's pretty solid. Yeah, I would say that Tristan has recovered fairly spectacularly. He's got a Nidus network up. Nidus worms are crazy, crazy Zerg units that let you teleport straight up. They're pretty crazy. Declan used scan out of this orbital command just now. That was that effect that we just saw over the base. That gives you full vision of everything cloaked. So he just saw all of what Tristan has going on here and has seen what he has built up. Let's check and see if Declan has any nukes built. He has not built any nukes yet. We would love to see some nuclear missiles coming out here, but fortunately, I think it will be a little too peaceful today. We've got these Mutalisks online. We've got 15 queens out now. That is a really significant attack for us. And if he starts using these to spread creep around, Declan is going to have a very, very hard time dealing with this. We see the forces moving out. Again, these infestors do not do anything if you do not press buttons on them. So Tristan might experience the same thing that Declan experienced a minute ago, where he just walked all of his units in, trying to attack with them, and they just seemingly did nothing. That would be very unfortunate, but we'll see how it ends up. Declan coming in with a small skirmish force. We haven't seen much skirmishing happen. Oh, no. He's moved out his whole army. This, if he sets up the siege tanks, might be enough. It might be enough. The Mutalisks are going to be a big problem. And if Tristan has all of his queens around to help with this fight, it's going to be pretty one-sided. These Thors are very strong, though, so we'll see how this works out. Ooh, yeah, this does not look good. This does not look good for Tristan. These infestors are not being activated, so they're just dying. Horrible. Horribly unfortunate. It looks like Declan may end up coming back out with this game. 15 queens, probably not enough to defend against this. Yep. Those infestors missing is kind of an unfortunate situation. We've seen a couple of players do this so far where they've kind of walked units in that don't really do much because they're not using them effectively. They don't use any of the casting abilities. We see now all of these queens coming out on the attack, but just into the meat grinder. Oh, this might be a good vantage point for him to fight back a little bit. Not quite, though. Nope, still more into the meat grinder. We saw a beautiful recovery out of Tristan here earlier. Poised potentially to be able to win the game. But we definitely have a very, very tight game 2 coming up here. Tristan had a pretty golden opportunity immediately after he had won that fight to charge in with all of his Zerglings and end the game in his favor. He certainly could have won this game. But, you know, it's not really his fault. Like, these games are really tough. There's a lot of information to take in. And knowing the flow of combat, pretty tough most of the time. Pretty tough. Let's see what he's got mounting over here. I will say at this point that I'm going to go ahead and call it for him, so that way we can get it on to the next game. Just because this is not going to be enough to recover at any point here now. There was an opportunity earlier, but this is a lost game. So I'm going to let him know so we can get moving on. Oh, he has muted me. Hey, one of the players who is spectating that can talk to Tristan, can you please? Oh, I have them muted still. Hold on one second. Hold on. We're a little clunky here. Just 1 minute. Hello, can you two hear me? Okay. Tristan, can you hear me? So this is a point at which the game is probably wrapped up. You had an excellent opportunity to win the game here. That was a very, very close game. That defense was really, really awesome that you mounted it when you were kind of like on the brink. But unfortunately, at this point, you are pretty toast. You can go ahead and surrender in the menu. There's a surrender option. And congratulations, Declan, to winning the first game in this 3-game series. We're going to move on to the next one here pretty shortly. And I'm going to cut out the VOD right now real quick.